Hey, how are you? Mike Watts here. We are here at Recording Producer Pro podcast number 1. And today we have a very special guest with us, all the way from
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina. We have Josh Brigham from Hopesfall.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Thanks for letting me into your house.
I don't know if I have much of a choice. It seems like this has been going on since 2004.
Yes.
Our relationship, and yeah, good love affair. Good love affair for sure. So, we're doing this program where we're having online courses and trying to get people motivated to get in the music industry and try and help them figure their way and, find their niche and just talk to professionals who are in the industry or have been in the industry in the past and what it took for them to get up and running and going. And we just kind of wanted to get a little bit of your backstory of how did you begin and start Hopesfall and how did it turn into what it is. And even 20 some odd years later, you go play Furnace Fest right here this year and people are still crazy excited about your band. So how can I interpret that sort of ongoing notoriety to some of the students who are watching this?
Yeah. No, it's fun to think back to those early days when you didn't know what you had and right. You were just working on it and it was purely just a passion project, but like totally dominated your life and identity. And you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, we gotta do this. It's welling up inside of you. And just thinking back to those early days, early practices, and we were putting it together. It was just about capturing the energy in the room. We were, really inexperienced musicians and kids, but we could all just look at each other when you're jamming. And you know how it is, like when you're playing in a band or something, like everybody's excited and it's just got that, you got the vibe and the energy's there. It was just like trying to consistently get to that point.
None of the bands I ever worked with had any success, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. but I can imagine playing with some good musicians might feel very. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I've played with some good players, but just watching the success level that Hopesfall was, kind of an innovator in the industry and that specific sound, and hearing. How old were you when you started all this? You said your kids.
I was a freshman in college. Adam, I think, was 14 on drums. Maybe 15 years old. So I was 18, and we just got together. And it's funny to say like that you thought we were like innovators in the music industry or something, but what we did felt real natural to us because we grew up, on alternative rock. I mean, just straight up. Coming up, like growing up in the 90s, what was on MTV and what was on the radio was like, it was there for a reason. It was good. It was actually good. Rage Against the Machine and the Pumpkins,
of course.
And just, the Pixies and Dinosaur Jr. and all that. So we had all of that as kind of like the groundwork. We liked guitar,
Really?
We liked big, loud guitars and we liked the loud, quiet, loud kind of aspect. But then, music started getting kind of nu metal in the mainstream around like 95-ish, I feel like. And so we were digging, and it's almost like we went right past regular punk straight to hardcore.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have like a very big metal background. Like I got into Metallica and Pantera like later.
Yeah.
It wasn't there at the beginning, but all the other bands around Charlotte at the time, which have turned into some bands that are fairly notable. So the people we would play with all the time were Prayer for Cleansing, that became Between the Buried and Me.
Wow. Okay.
Cool. Those were the guys that we were like playing shows with, and there was the hardcore scene, and we were like, we can get shows, we can lump in with this group of people because there's already this kind of scene, and we're getting into that music and exploring it. And it was very much a networking thing. It's like, hey, I'm friends with this guy. We go to the same high school. He knows a guy at the club. We can get on this show.
I can't express enough how important that is, just the idea of networking and creating a community, or even evolving into a community that already exists, or, when you're trying to come up into this sort of environment, atmosphere, or, line of work, it's good to surround yourself with, like you said, people who are doing them. Yeah, this band's already doing. We can kind of lump our band in and get shows and tours. Well, same thing as a producer and an engineer. I think the best thing they can do is learn from people who are really doing it, and then surround themselves with other like-minded individuals who are also super and hyper motivated, who are somewhat more successful than themselves, and they can kind of, like what you did between the Berry to Me, almost ride coattails until you hopefully equate yourselves and or surpass them in their craft.
Yeah.
And same similar situation. That's the way it is with the arts in general, I think. Just try to learn from people who obviously you're inspired by and who are better than you. And just listening to you say that validates it for me over and over again. And how hard was it to network past that situation?
So we started playing shows, and we had our friend circle, and we're getting introduced to more and more people because they had been around previously and knew people in like Columbia and Winston-Salem. And so had those introductions, started doing that. Like, and those cities are like an hour from Charlotte.
Yeah.
So like we started like branching out little by little, getting those local shows, gaining some notoriety there. And it was very much a word of mouth thing, and who you knew, and like, the promoters in the town, you got to know the people that own the clubs and stuff like that.
Of course.
Developing those relationships was crucial. Absolutely crucial.
Critical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because they held the keys to the kingdom. And especially at that age when we just want to play the venue that we saw the bands we liked.
Yeah.
Like growing up, going to Tremont Music Hall and then like getting to play there was like, fuck yeah. Like we've arrived, we're playing the small stage at Tremont. But then when it started getting to a point where we made a record, and we did this when we were 18, 19 years old. And it was just at the dawn of like message boards and posting things on the internet. I mean, like before social media is what it is now.
Uh-huh.
And like, we would just like see like Indianapolis hardcore and like, hey, go see what band is posting about things there, and literally email them and trade shows. Be like, you can come and play in Charlotte. We can get like 100 people. Can we come and play in front of your